Hey guys, what's going on? We got a very interesting daily close, so I want to kind of share some thoughts. This could be turned into a good opportunity to see how I look at market structure, whether I choose to be bullish or bearish, and why. So this daily candle, as you can see, I guess we'll start on a higher context of, I think this area here we now see was distribution. It deviated above the 80K, 79K, 80K level that we had as what could have been resistance on the daily on Bitcoin. This candle here from February 2nd acted as a bearish order block that I'm sure a lot of people, as you can see, price kind of rejected from there a few times, right? So it rejected once, gave us this higher low around 64,000, and then price started kind of, it went from this vertical line up to sort of just consolidating, going sideways. Bulls, bears, nobody can decide which way it's going to go. Uh, Bulls won temporarily, and then bears sent it back down, causing this deviation over 80K. Now, um, with that said, I think that excuse me, not up until now, up until then, and up until we had this daily market structure break to the downside, I'm gonna highlight this in red so it's a little bit clearer. Um, this was our daily low, right? That led to this break up to 83,000. We chopped around there, then started breaking down and getting closes below, right? Then we even had a retest right up to there just the other day on Thursday, and then we broke market structure to the downside even further, right? So with that said, there's a few things that are kind of conflicting right now, in my opinion. So just keep this image in mind. Keep in mind that since this distribution above 80,000 and the further breakdown that we've seen ever since then, we're now kind of in a bearish scenario, bearish context when you're looking at the market, right? However, if we flip over to the weekly, so a higher time frame, right, which usually we can place a more confident bet in, right? I like working from the top down. Pause. So we do have this uh, bullish sweep, right, of the last week of April. Again, that low was the low before we jumped up back above 80,000 for the first time since January, right? So this sweep is pretty key. We still have an entire 24-hour period until this weekly closes, but unless something catastrophic happens, I think this weekly is going to close as a sweep. The question now really is if we're going to sweep last week's candle, if we're going to close above that or not. But I don't think it's really all that important in the context of we're going to sweep this key low, right? And we've already seen just today the bounce 3% on Bitcoin and right into the daily close. So that looks all good and well for the bulls. However, today's pump, uh, just kind of seems to be rejecting right where you think it would if we're still in the context of a downtrend, right? This would be your bearish order block, uh, given that we broke market structure again to the downside just yesterday on Friday, right? With this pretty ugly daily close where Bitcoin went down almost 3%. Uh, so yeah, it's a little bit conflicting. Had today been a Monday, had today been just a regular weekday, I'd probably just go ahead and long the sweep. I have a very clear invalidation. I would want this low to hold. But it's a weekend, and it seems like this pump was caused by the news of a peace deal getting put in place by Trump and the, uh, I guess, UAE, whatever, and Iran. Yeah, very conflicting. I don't know. And when I don't know, I just don't click any buttons. I don't have any positions open from today, so I'm not really looking to take any action. It's still very interesting to note, like, we can go either way. Last time I remember this happening vividly was this. This was uh, if you guys remember the weekend in which Trump announced how do you say, the crypto strategic reserve, right? That was this February 2025. This wick that you see was actually on a Sunday. It was a Sunday at around 9 a.m. He made the announcement that there's going to be a crypto strategic reserve. Everybody was very excited. And, when the weekly candle was engulfing all the way to the downside, all the way down here at 78,000 from damn near 100,000, everybody got back on their saddle, bought everything back up, and then we closed the weekly as an insane sweep of all of these lows, right? We took all of these lows out, right? Fantastically, right? And we closed above, and a lot of people, thought, and rightfully so, they thought, okay, this is what we need for a break above these current highs. Incredible sweep, take out a lot of liquidity, and then send it back up upon good news. But what we got the very next day on Monday was an absolute wrecker. People fucking, lost all their shit. Everybody who bought on Sunday got liquidated on Monday. So, it's a bit tricky. Again, you have this really nice sweep. Obviously, this is also news driven, but this was very crypto related news. This is just war related news. Obviously, we're talking about different prices, different times. Things don't always line up exactly the same as before, but um, I think both bulls and bears have a case. On the 4 hour, it's pretty bearish. On the daily, it's pretty fucking bullish. On the weekly, it also looks to be gearing up to be a very, very bullish weekly close. So for right now, I'm waiting, but this is just I don't know. I saw a cool opportunity to show you guys how you can look at the same chart and have different opposing opinions as to whether or not you should be bullish or if you should be bearish. So I think that's it, dude. Solana looks exactly the fucking same, right? You got this really nice daily close upon a sweep of all these lows, this low as well. Just looks good, right? Looks like, this should be all the liquidity taken for the run back up to $100, right? Everybody's talking about $100 Solana. Maybe this is what was needed to get it. But again, it being a fucking Saturday, I don't tend to trust it. Famous last words? Maybe. Might regret it. Um, Hype seems to be struggling around all-time high. Looks very retesty. The 4 hour broke down. This does look like a bearish retest. I'll find you a better chart that didn't skip that candle for some reason. So as you can see, nothing to panic about per se, but you do have this bearish MSB, right? So, hold on, let me make this a little bit clearer. All right, so bearish MSB, we did get some 4 hour closes below the structure low. You could also argue that the structure low would be down here, right? Either way, we broke both of those levels. Even this level down here had a 4 hour close below. And now, if we did actually break market structure, because it always begins on a lower time frame, right? It may not show up on the daily on the 12 hour yet, but it always begins on the technically the 1 minute, the 1 second. So this would be your bearish retest upon not much of one, but a lower high, right? So, we'll see. I'm still not selling my spot. I'm absolutely fine riding this back down to a bullish retest in the sub $50 range. I know that sounds crazy now, but it might not sound that crazy in the upcoming week. Right now, still looking pretty bearish retesty, in my opinion, with an obvious target for bears. So if you're bearish this and you're looking for a reason to short, this is despite the chart looking the way it is, this is the most um, optimal, the time that makes the most sense to get short in a few months now. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not getting short myself. I told you how I feel about opening a first trade on the weekend. Um, that's it, dude. Hope you enjoyed this one. I think it was pretty good. If it's not, tell me I suck in the comments. Bye.